All right, hello everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining from. Welcome to another, whatever this show is. Hopefully you can see and hear me okay. It looks like everything is coming through good on this end. Things are hopefully going to work a little bit better this time. So we've got quite a bit of things to talk about today, to say the least. So, I hope you enjoyed the intro sequence. I can't fly a drone in Vienna, but I can fly an Insta360 on the end of a selfie stick. So that is what I did, and I thought it was pretty fun. So I had a good time with that. In the little of Vienna that I've been able to explore for reasons, which we'll get to in a minute. So yes, cheers. Thank you all for being here. We are going to kick things off with a super chat from Drew. Thank you very much, Drew, for the super chat. Appreciate it. Hopefully, oh, is this working? Cross your fingers. I didn't actually double check the comments. Is it there? It is there. Okay, great. I'm looking at it on a little bit of a delay. So, awesome. So yeah, things are working a little better today. I'm still in Vienna. Was not expecting to be in Vienna, and still this weekend. I thought I was going to go home yesterday. And here we are. So, okay. Wait, Rick says there's an echo. I don't see how there's an echo. I only see one audio on, so I'm going to assume maybe, since nobody else is saying there's an echo, I'm going to go with there's two players running somewhere. Cool. Okay. Where do we even start? I don't even know where to start with this. This has been such a week. Okay, yeah. First of all, I'm here. If you have questions, feel free to throw them in the chat at any point. I will see them in my list if you use the letter Q before the message, and that'll make it show up better on my screen. But otherwise, I will be looking at the chat. So hopefully. Hopefully this works like normal and I can show the chat messages again. So yeah, let's talk about the intro. Roland says there's a small bit of reverb, but no echo. Thank you. Cool. Yeah, I'm still in this hotel room, which is not the best acoustics, but it is decent. There's enough stuff here. And I'm using the Røde Wireless Go today, so that's on here, kind of hidden, I guess, a little bit hidden. That's the mic I'm using for this, going into Sony ZV-1, which I might as well show you while I can. I said I was going to start with the opening sequence, but we're going to start with a tour of this rig because I've got that here. So first of all, my little portable camera, Sony ZV-E10 with the Hollyland 400S on top, and let me lock the audio so I don't switch over to that. And then what I'm looking at is this rig. So this is my YoloBox Cage. Link for that is below, of course. This is the one that we designed and Inix3D produces. So that's holding the YoloBox in there, and then that's what I'm looking at for controlling the camera angles and audio and stuff like that. and I've got the two lights. I didn't quite, I left my Allen key for the little side screws at the NX3D office, so I can't tighten them all the way, which is why they're sticking out. And I also left, because I left, I couldn't attach the monitor mount here. So things are not where they should be, like I would normally, but it's working, and these are all hand tightened because I don't have the Allen keys. So I made do with what I could. But yeah, this is the Sony ZV-E10 up there, the two little Aputure MC lights for giving some light that's better than the hotel lights in the room, because these are all very yellow and not very pleasant. And then on the back, I've got the Hollyland receiver and the wireless mic receiver back there as well. And that's what I'm looking at for here. Most of it's powered by this battery that's sort of hanging from the tripod. This is a very small carbon fiber tripod, which I like a lot. And then I've got my laptop down here with my normal chat interface and the YouTube dashboard, so I can see what's going on the stream and in the real-time chat. And then also on here, I've got my web presenter. So this is the thing that's new as of this week compared to last week. Oh, and then my iPad's over here for backup companion control. So you might notice that I'm using the web presenter today and the YoloBox. So what's going on? What's going on here? So this is all part of my how I wanted to be doing the stream remotely, but didn't manage to hook up successfully last week. So I was like, well, if I have more time in Vienna, I might as well try to refine this and fix things and make it work better. So let's talk about how I fixed that. I don't actually know the timing of the stinger. So apologies for that. The last week, I was streaming from the YoloBox directly to YouTube, nothing in between. It was YoloBox. I'll talk about its internet connection in a minute, but it was YoloBox directly to YouTube, none of my normal system. So that means I was looking at the chat on the YoloBox, showing it from the YoloBox, which was working fine, and I was able to run the stream that way, which is great. However, I prefer to run the stream through my own gear, because what that lets me do is use my chat interface, which looks different, because then this is all part of my little growing empire of my AaronPK.tv website. And when I click a chat message on here, it gets archived, and you can see all of the past chat messages that I've shown on the stream, not here, on questions. So AaronPK.tv/questions, this is all of the times I've shown chat messages on the stream. So you can click on these and jump to the timestamp, which is very cool. I like to index all that, and you can search through this and all that stuff. When I'm streaming from the YoloBox directly, it's not part of that system. So I also don't get the same countdown timer. I don't get the map and all that stuff. So what I want to be doing is streaming from the YoloBox into my studio as if I were a remote guest. So, you know, I've had other people stream into the studio before, and they stream from whatever they've got. It could be a A10 Mini, it could be a YoloBox, it could be a software, OBS, or whatever it is. And that goes into a receiver in my studio, and then I mix it in like a camera. So actually, I can show you what my multi-view looks like right now at the studio. Should be that button. Let's see if that works. And this is the multi-view of my ATEM that's mixing the show. So I've got my RTMP coming in on input 1, and then I'm not really using the others right now, except for later down the stream, it's got like the other TV studio and the HyperDeck doing the overlays and all that stuff. I've talked about that before. I'm not going to go into that part of it right now. So actually, if you take a look at the rack, you should see some of that gear in action right now. So I can show you a close-up of the rack at the studio that's doing this work. So again, I'm pushing into input 1, but then you can see the HyperDeck that's there in the TV studio and all the other gear that's mixing the rest of the stream. So that is how I want to be doing the stream because it lets me use all of my normal tools even when I'm away from the studio. Why couldn't I do that last week? So the reason I completely failed last week was because it turns out the eSIM that I got was just very slow. I had an eSIM from, I don't remember the company actually. It was one of the ones that popped up when I searched for Austria eSIM. I like the eSIMs because I can buy them in the US, which means when I land, first thing, like I get data immediately. I don't have to go hunt down a SIM store. So I just have data when I land and I'm in the plane on the runway. I really like that. However, it's not fast data because they do deals with carriers to get bandwidth and they don't get good speeds. So I had done a speed test and I did not try that stream on the eSIM because it was like 2 megabits was my upload speed on that. So I knew it wasn't going to work. So instead, I tried the event Wi-Fi, and this is I know this is a long story, but it's worth it, I promise. The event Wi-Fi. The event I was at was the IETF conference. It's the first in-person one since November 2019, and the IETF is a standards organization, which I participate in the OAuth side, but they also do a lot of other web standards. A lot, like TLS, HTTP, things you've never heard of, all are under that umbrella. So they're like super networking geeks, right? Every time they do a conference at a hotel, they essentially create their entire network, an entire network at the hotel for the week. Actually, like a week and a half. And by create a network, I mean they run their own access points. They run wires. They just fill the hotel with their own gear. And they broadcast their own SSIDs. They literally run their own networks. A lot of times it's actually running experimental stuff because they're literally working on network protocols at the conference. So they try out experimental networking things on the gear. So they have a lot of bandwidth, but it's also, they're just constantly messing with stuff. So it's not always stable, and that was my mistake. I had kind of assumed that like the hotel Wi-Fi, the IETF hotel SSID that they were broadcasting would be stable, and turns out it was not. I learned the reason on the next day when I went back to the conference, and it turns out that they had a misconfiguration of some part. I don't even remember what it was. It's way beyond my networking knowledge. And essentially every machine was getting kicked off the Wi-Fi, or kicked off the network, not Wi-Fi, kicked off of like lower level stuff every 30 minutes. And that's what happened. So I had done tests, it was working, and then I got unlucky, and 5 minutes into the stream, my YoloBox was like, oh, got kicked off, guess we're just done. So then the way that I recovered last week was I switched back to the hotel Wi-Fi, because the hotel Wi-Fi was okay, and it mostly worked for the rest of the stream. It was not terrible. So that was not my finest moment, to say the least. But yeah, the stream did work, and that was, yeah, it was on the hotel Wi-Fi. So didn't want to rely on the hotel Wi-Fi again this week. And so instead, what I did was went and got a SIM card. And I got a real SIM card on a real carrier, local carrier. I actually got two to test them because I was like, I don't want to just risk it with one of them. I got two of them. I left the papers somewhere else. And one of them was A1 and one of them was 3. So I think one is a reseller of the other, in fact. Not totally sure on that. If anybody's from Austria and knows the details of the carriers, let me know. But the speed test I did on the 3 network was, I was getting about 12 to 15 megabits up, which it advertised like 40 or 50, and I was not getting 50. I'm also like, again, inside of a hotel room on the 13th floor. So I don't know where the nearest tower is. It might be on the other side of the building. But the A1 SIM was giving me 40 megabits up. And I was like, that's fantastic. And that's 40, this is a speed test from the YoloBox itself. So, you know, the YoloBox has a little speed test tool. And I went and actually used that tool in the YoloBox where in this room I was going to be streaming from. So that is 40 megabits up. I was like, that's plenty to push up a 3 megabit stream. And that is what I'm using now. So this is the A1 SIM card inside the YoloBox, not on Wi-Fi, just SIM directly, pushing not to YouTube, but now to my studio. So once I had the bandwidth for that, then I was able to actually do that stream the way I wanted. So, okay, how are we doing? Because there's more. It's more complicated. Let me see if there's any questions here I can get to before I continue. Martine says, you were IETF, should have known. Yes, I did. Yes, I was. This is amazing that you can control the studio remotely. I agree. It's fantastic. I love it. I like having remote control and just treating myself as an external guest. So I'm glad to hear that the stream is much, much better, says Roland. Okay. Eric says, yes, the eSIM, the IETF event Wi-Fi, everything conspired to defeat YouTube live stream. Thank goodness for the hotel Wi-Fi. Yeah, it did. It did conspire. Okay, Jeremy says, oh, this is a good question. Kind of related to this. Do you know how to start a scheduled YouTube live stream, the Go Live button on an iPad or iPhone? As far as I know, you can't. There is no interface for that on mobile. Their mobile interfaces do not keep up with their desktop interface, and it's really unfortunate because honestly, an iPad screen is like not that much smaller than a computer screen, and I would rather just be able to load it up. Actually, now that I'm saying that, I'm pretty sure I have loaded the desktop interface on an iPad. It does not work on an iPhone. If you can get to the full desktop interface, not using the app doesn't have it, but if you do get to the full desktop interface on an iPad, then it can work. I know it does not work on a phone. I have tried that before. So, oh no, it doesn't work on the iPad. What am I thinking of? It just says you're using an unsupported browser, which is like, it's actually not unsupported. You're just faking it. Ah, there's a button at the bottom, skip to YouTube Studio. That's how you do it. I knew I've seen it on the iPad before. So if I do that, click that, I can't click it in reverse. If I click that, then, yeah, so now I've got the YouTube Studio interface, and then I can click the Go Live button from there. iPad, not on the iPhone though. Okay. Why is there a thin red line rule in the lower thirds area? Seems to appear whatever scene you switch to. I don't know why that would be. I don't know what that is. Let me know if anybody else sees it. Okay. So, oh, Sven also makes a good point. If you're using Firefox, there's a button for request desktop version on mobile, which I feel like has only worked, is only like 50-50 as to whether it actually works. Sometimes the way that they do the detection doesn't match the way that that button then tells the browser or the server to do. Anyway. Okay, back to, oh, Joel says I use Chrome on the iPhone in desktop mode, and it works for me. That's interesting. That's good. Okay, I think there's a setting that I haven't touched on the iPhone then for that, so cool. Okay, so there's more. I was hoping to make a graphic for this. Did not have time. Maybe I can just draw one on my iPad and just show you the iPad. What I wanted to do, like I mentioned before, what I wanted to do was stream from the YoloBox to my studio. Yeah, Jonathan, exactly. So I'm pumping the YoloBox feed in through RTMP back into the studio, into that Magewell converter that's at my studio, into the ATEM, and then everything about the show is mixed like normal, because compared to how I normally do it, except instead of me in front of a camera at the studio, I'm thousands of miles away pushing a remote feed into the studio. So I'm over here with the YoloBox. We'll draw a Y. I'll make this bigger in a second when I finish the drawing. Here, oops, where's my pencil? So YoloBox. This is going into this is my cell phone, or my LTE. And then, sorry about this terrible drawing. I should have, oh yeah, also I forgot a USB-C to HDMI, so I can't even plug this into the YoloBox to screen share properly. And then that goes over the internet to the Magewell into the ATEM. Okay, so this is basically what I wanted, right? YoloBox, LTE network, into the Magewell, to the ATEM. Cool. Turns out that even once I got the 40 megabit, is that the right exponent? Yeah, not 40 gigabit, 40 megabit. Oh my God, numbers are hard. Yes, the fast cell connection. Once I got that SIM, I tried pushing to my studio. Did not work. Did not work at all. It was super, super choppy. It was like a few seconds, then it would pause, and it would go a few more seconds, and it would pause. Really bad. Totally bad. Not at all functional. And I was like, okay, this doesn't make any sense because I know there's enough bandwidth. I pushed directly from the YoloBox to YouTube, and it's fine. Flawless. So then my thought was, okay, there's something wrong between Vienna and Portland on that hop. So my solution, and what I'm doing now, is you're going to laugh. Let me draw the little parts again. So I've got the YoloBox here, the LTE, and then what it does is it pushes to an Amazon server, EC2 in Frankfurt. That connection is very close. It does not go across an ocean. So the YoloBox is actually streaming to a custom RTMP location, which is a server I put in Amazon in Frankfurt. Okay. My computer situation is not working. Hang on, I need to get my computer back so I can see if I'm still online. This has also been happening to me. Wow. Come on. Because if I can't see the chat, I can't see if the stream is still working. I think I'm still on, but I can't see what you're saying. So yeah, why won't WireGuard open? You know what's really annoying is the notch, because it blocks the taskbar icons in the Mac, and then I can't see anything on the computer. I can't see if there's an icon hidden. Okay, we are going to quit those and aha! Okay. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Reload that, and there we go. Okay, now I can see what you're all saying. 40 megabits. Megabits. There we go. So, streaming to EC2. EC2 then takes that stream, pushes it to my studio. So this is my studio with the Magewell receiver and the ATEM. that is what I'm actually doing now. So that solved the problem, because apparently the hop from on Amazon's side, from Amazon's data center in Frankfurt to my studio is fine. So I do a short hop here, long hop on Amazon, and then into my studio, and that's how it's working fine now. So not what I expected to have to do exactly, but I'm glad it works. That is how I solved that problem. And I also confirmed this theory by putting an Amazon server in Oregon, because they have a data center there, and streaming from the YoloBox to Oregon, and same problem. So it's for some reason, the cell network here, I guess it doesn't really surprise me, but the cell network here pushing directly to, like, across the ocean doesn't work well. But the cell network here pushing to a local server works fine, and then I use servers in the cloud to get across the ocean. So, yes, this could be a dedicated video and tutorial. This Amazon EC2 thing is completely new to me. I know it is. It's a whole thing for sure. If you're curious about the software that I'm using for it, it's the same software that I use to make the streaming bridge on a Raspberry Pi, the Nginx web server with the RTMP module. It is, I'm not going to say easy, but it is straightforward to set up if you're at all familiar with setting up web servers. So that is nice. So yeah, I could definitely do a dedicated video about that, because it's a lot. Imagine explaining this to somebody 20 years ago, what technological marvels we witnessed. I agree. I mean, yeah, 20 years ago, what was that? 2002? So the idea of just being able to, like, spin up a server in a country across the world on the fly without really thinking twice about it wasn't exactly commonplace. Great traffic engineering, to the wind, yeah. Amazon are likely sending the traffic transoceanic within their own network, and then egresses their network at some peering point in the US with your home broadband carrier. Yep. So they have a nice big fat pipe across the ocean, whereas whatever the cell provider is using does not necessarily send it in the same route. So yeah, that is the story with how I'm successfully actually running this stream today. Again, I'm running this into my studio because I want to. The good news is this SIM card with a fast SIM pushing straight to YouTube also works totally fine, totally fine. So that was just a bandwidth issue with the original eSIM on the tethering, but the good SIM in the YoloBox straight up to YouTube works fine too. It's just that I don't get all my tools if I do that. But for most people, I'm sure it would be not that big of a deal to just do it that way. Okay. So, any other questions on that? So, we're going to get to why I'm still here in a minute. David says, I wonder how all the stuff you bring fits in your carry-on bag. I have 2 carry-on bags. I have a backpack and a rolling suitcase, and I put a lot of the more bulky stuff into the rolling suitcase, like the metal bars for the cage, the handles for the cage, the tripod, the big battery, all that kind of stuff goes into the big rolly bag. I carry both on. I don't check them. And then most of the smaller or more expensive electronics go into the backpack. Just in case I have to check the big bag, I like to have more of the stuff with me that I can shove under the seat. It fits pretty well. It's not that much stuff. It is obviously more than I was willing to take to Finland, because that was mostly a vacation, whereas this is mostly a work trip with a little bit of YouTube. But yeah, it totally fits reasonably well. What are you doing for the remote desktop to control chat? Just any normal thing like TeamViewer or something more special and high-tech? It is special and high-tech. However, way that I can, it's exactly analogous to the Chrome plugin that I have in the store. So the way the Chrome plugin works that I published, the live chat overlay plugin, that link is below. And the way that one works is it grabs, you load it on your laptop, and it grabs the YouTube chat window and then gives you like a control surface. But then if you click this little, I don't think I have it. Let me see if I actually have it. I wish I could screen share. Oh yeah, okay, I do have it here. I really wish I could screen share. I just didn't bring enough cables for that. But I can show you a camera of my computer screen. This is my chat plugin, and it has two modes. The default mode is when you click a message, it shows it below, and then you can green screen or Luma key it if you can get this screen into your switcher. If you want to separate though, you can click this Get Overlay URL, and then what this does is this is a URL you can bring into a different computer or OBS. So you take that, you go into a different window, and you load it there, and then if you click a message, it now shows up in the other window. Ignore that it's huge. I was testing something for Photo Joseph. That's what I am effectively doing. So this is not a remote desktop window. It's a window on my local computer, but when I click a message, it sends a command over the internet to whatever computer has this window, this URL loaded. So that's on the desktop in my studio, so that I can bring in the chat that way. So does that make sense? What I'm actually doing is my own sort of custom version of that also like logs the messages in a database, but same idea. And you can try that right now yourself if you want to, because you can just go to the Chrome store and search for the live chat overlay extension and give it a shot. Okay, so back to the chats. Roland says another counterintuitive trick is to run the RTMP stream within a UDP VPN tunnel in order to avoid TCP-aware middle boxes. Depends on whether anyone in the path polices UDP. Interesting. Interesting trick. GoWeb Technology says, I still don't understand why there is no delay receiving feed at your studio. There is a little bit of a delay. It's just not that long. So it's, let me pull up my view again. I was, how can I don't have I can show a timer really quick from the YoloBox. So if I go and add just a little countdown timer, I'm just going to make it 10 minutes because I'm not going to let the whole thing run out. But what this is going to do is give me a overlay on the screen, and then I can see the difference between. You probably can't see this through the translucent background, but maybe you can. Let's see if we can position this just right. So I'm looking at this. Between what I see on the YoloBox and what I get back on my viewer is about 2.5 or 3 seconds. Let's see if I can get it in the corner so you can see it too. There we go. So that's pretty good. That's YoloBox going to the studio, but then also coming back. So I have a delay on this, right? Obviously, this is not real time. Like my view of the web presenter is not exactly real time. But even with that, the whole round trip is only about 3 seconds. So that's pretty impressive. Now hopefully that was a fun little demo of the delay. Am I using Speedify on the YoloBox or just a single connection? Just one right now, because I don't have a way to really get multiple connections. I didn't bring a travel router with a SIM card, so I guess I could have done Wi-Fi from the YoloBox to my phone and use my phone's SIM and done Speedify that way, but I'm just going off of the one SIM. I'm just crossing my fingers. So, yeah, looks like about 3 seconds. Pretty good. pretty good round trip. So the actual delay from here to the studio is less than that because I'm also looking at the delay on it coming back. And then how about Companion controlling the ATEM? So Companion is running on the computer in the studio, but then Companion has a web browser, a web interface to it. So I've got the web interface loaded up on my iPad. And I've done that through port forwarding back to the studio, and then I can just load up the emulator on the iPad and press all the buttons the same way I would, you know, any other. So I can go show you the rack at the studio, and then you should see that, be seeing that, and I click back to the RTMP, and here we are. Yeah. So the Companion web interface is great because it means that you can load it up on a computer or an iPad or both, and yeah, it's really nice. Okay. So now, oh yeah, I imagined you using a remote desktop and then controlling it all with Companion and having access to the ATEM setup app. I do have the ability to get into the screen sharing on my Mac that's at the studio, but I prefer to not do that because the Companion interface doesn't need to load up as much stuff as a full graphical interface. So also the desktop, the remote desktop, I don't have it through like any of those cloud services. It's just literally the screen sharing built into the Mac. So I have to get on my VPN to do that, and that's one of the things that has been failing, which is why my chat bugged out for a minute, because my computer was on the VPN and that link broke, and then all my internet went down on the computer. That's what that little glitch was. I don't know why that's been happening. It seems to be doing that for a little bit, like after a couple hours, I think. So I need to solve that one, but that would have totally broken the remote desktop as well. But instead, my iPad was still able to be on the stream, controlling the stream, because that's not on the VPN. Port forwarding. Jonathan says, what method are you using to control the Magewell from there? That is also, it has a web interface, so I do have to get on my VPN for that because I did not do a port forward for that one. But that one is, if I get on the VPN, I can just pull up the interface, but I don't need to control it. There's nothing for me to do now that it's configured. So it's configured with a stream key. I plug that stream key into the Amazon server that's pushing to it, and then in the YoloBox, if you look at the platforms configured in the YoloBox, so this is, I've got all my normal like YouTube and stuff, and then I've got all these custom RTMPs, and this is the one I'm on right now, EU Central 1. That was my test one in US West. That's my own cast instance. That's the Magewell directly when I'm port forwarded, but that's the Magewell, so that's the one that wasn't working from here because of the long hop over the ocean. So, okay. Wow, we've been chatting for a while. This is great that the stream is just working now. We can just do this. So, is this the new MacBook Pro M1 Ultra or Max? It is. It's my work laptop, and it's not super maxed out. Apple M1 Max. It's pretty beefy, but it's not like all the way up. But I've been enjoying it, except for the notch is kind of annoying. Okay. So, thanks for showing all this. Amazing. Yes, I appreciate that you are enjoying it. Greetings from Hong Kong. Thanks for watching. Okay, so we are going to, I think that's what I want to talk about the rig and stuff. So now, why am I still here? Turns out, so my plan was to go home on Saturday and get back at like 11 p.m. It was not a great flight. I was going to be at the studio today for the stream. On Wednesday, I noticed I had a little bit of a cough. Developed a little bit of a cough, and I was like, that's more than I'm comfortable with just ignoring. I better go do a COVID test. And thankfully, Austria has very, very accessible tests. They're right across from the hotel. There's a little street full of little testing centers, and you just walk up. You have to sign up online. You walk up, in and out in 2 minutes, and you get the test 15 minutes later. It's amazing. So I was between sessions waiting for the rapid result, and sure enough, came back positive. And I was like, well, there goes the rest of my trip. So that was Wednesday night, and or even evening, I guess. And I had to skip the next dinner, or the group event, and then the dinner, back into my hotel room, and 5 days quarantine. So I have been in the hotel room for 5 days, which has given me quite a lot of time to figure all this stuff out, to say the least. And yeah, so 5 days was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Today's the 5th, and that meant that I just couldn't do anything. Lily, who came with me on the trip, I was like, well, she probably has it if I have it, and she was supposed to fly back on Friday, the day before me, and she went and got the test Thursday because you need a test the day before you fly. Negative, somehow. She lucked out. Somehow did not get it. Got the negative rapid test, got the boarding pass, did a PCR test. PCR test comes back 24 hours later. And then that also came back negative, thankfully, so she was able to get home and not have to extend her trip as well. So I'm stuck here, and I'm stuck here, and have to extend my hotel stay. I don't know when I'm going home. Don't know how I'm going to be feeling. Not exactly the best Wednesday night, and yeah, so that was delightful. But yeah, the conference has a whole plan for this. So they have a COVID officer assigned to the event. She's been very helpful. She's been the one telling me what all the actual Austria regulations are for this. And that's like the 5-day quarantine and stuff like that. She was able to bring the PCR tests up to the room so I could use them here. Then I had Lily do some errands for me Wednesday night right before she left. Or I guess it was Thursday morning before she left. So she actually went and got the SIM cards for me, got a bunch more PCR tests for me, and then now I've got my little cave here set up. So oh yeah, so I should mention, one of the reasons I'm not terribly worried about this is because, well, one, we're on like the 4th iteration of the virus, but I did get the vaccine as soon as I could, like literally as soon as I possibly could. So thankfully this has been very, very mild. So that is one of the really good things. Like I would be much more worried I wouldn't have traveled if pre-vaccine at all. I was not willing to risk that, but thanks to the booster in October, I was a lot more willing to travel and take that risk, which it is a risk still. And I've got conference colds before, just never really thought about it like this before, so that's fun. Oh yeah, Roland says, were you bare-facing it for all your meetings, or were you masked up? No, so the conference had very strict policies for the whole event. Masks required for the whole time unless you're eating. That was the conference rules, eating or drinking. So yeah, I was wearing a mask the entire event, except taking sips of water or whatever. Also, it wasn't a huge event. We're talking it's like 300 people or so. Normally it's like 1,500, but obviously first one back, and it's in Europe, so not everybody can just come here all at the same time like the 4 times. So the meeting rooms were not crowded. All the sessions were pretty sparse. I would say that the only time I was like anywhere near, like close to people, was a couple of the meetings for like an hour at a time. But again, everybody's wearing masks and all that. So yeah, I have no idea where I got it from. But we did go out to restaurants and stuff, after in the evenings and for lunch and stuff. And obviously you don't wear a mask to eat food. So I just got unlucky, I guess. Yeah, it happens. But yeah, I've mostly just been sitting it out here, not super sick, because turns out the vaccine works and it does its job and makes it not super bad. And I'm not even worried about having to go to the hospital, thankfully. So yeah. The worst that I got was like the cough on Wednesday got worse throughout the night. I had a pretty sore throat the next day, a little bit of a fever the next day, but that was really it. Not fun, but not the worst thing in the world. Honestly, the side effects from the first vaccine were worse, although they lasted much less. But that was more just like just zoom through all the symptoms. So this has just been mildly annoying, and mostly annoying that I couldn't go home when I had planned, and I don't have a return flight right now because I don't know when I can go home. As far as getting back out, I have to keep doing these little tests, which are thankfully very easy. There's this, Alles Gurgelt is the system here, and you get these little boxes, and then you have to like swish around some saline solution and spit it into a tube, and then drop it off at, I actually don't know where you drop them off because I haven't been allowed out of the hotel, but I leave them outside the door, and then I call downstairs, and then they come grab it and then like drop it off at, I think it's like grocery stores. I don't remember exactly where you can drop them off. There's a whole bunch of drop locations for them. And then you get this little code that you can use to check the result later. And then when I've been sending them off in the morning at like 8, they come back about 12 hours later, so I get them in the evening. So I've been watching those results and tracking them on these little pieces of paper. I learned something, which is the CT number, which is if it's above 30, the city considers you recovered. And I was like, above? That doesn't make sense. And it turns out that it is I don't remember if it's literally, but it's effectively the number of spins the machine does before it's able to detect the sample or the virus. So if it spins more than 30 times, it's taken longer to detect, so it's lower concentration. And I think if it goes over 40, then they consider it just not found. So the numbers that I've been getting started actually at 34, which is good, and which is effectively recovered, but then the next morning went down to 29, and then by that evening it was 38, and then by Saturday morning it actually came back negative. So yesterday morning's sample I did technically is negative, and that's good news. But then I did a swab, or I did a sample this morning, which I haven't got the result back yet because it's now Sunday and all the things are closed. And then I did do a rapid test today, and that one came back positive still. So I think I'm just right at the edge, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. But the good news is today, because I have the negative test and because it's the 5th day, I'm allowed to leave the hotel. So I was able to actually go outside for the first time since Wednesday, leave this little room. Yeah, I should actually, while I'm still here, give you a little tour of this hotel room for posterity's sake, just so you can see where I've been living for the past, where I've been cooped up for the past five days. So yeah, let's start with the rig. This is what I'm staring at right now. YoloBox Cage attached to this tripod. Actually, normally I would have put the cheese plate on there, but I forgot my my Allen key, so it's tripod's connected directly into the YoloBox. This is the PK1 new YoloBox Cage. Link is below. Please buy it if you want it. So that's the rig, and then here's a TV that does not work. It tunes into a couple of cable channels and does not have the hotel software on it, so I can't look at the room service menu on this one. I should have done this tour slightly earlier because the view outside the room is really nice. Probably not super visible now that it's like nighttime. Oh, there we go. Yeah, not too bad. Would have been better during the day. So that's my view. Not the worst place to get stuck. There is a little coffee machine that I found in one of the drawers. So I've been having some pretty terrible pod coffee in the mornings. Nice couch. There's my little streaming rig. Pile of receipts I need to deal with tomorrow, do my expense reports. 4 more COVID tests for the rest of the trip. I might have to get another set of them tomorrow. Thankfully, I can leave the room tomorrow, so that's cool. That's the table I've been working at. So there's my computer desk, which is where I've been doing most of the work. I had to ask them for a garbage bag because they weren't sending housekeeping in. So I was like, can you bring me a garbage bag? So that's because the little tiny trash can fills up too fast. So yeah, all of my leftover food and stuff are over there. There are 2 bathrooms. Tiny bathroom. And then over in the bedroom, there's another bathroom. So yeah, again, this place could be worse. Nice little bedroom. I also had them bring a microwave. So there was nowhere to plug it in except next to the bed. It's my little kitchen. This TV does work, and this one does have the room service menu, so I was able to use that. Here's a little closet with all my clothes. This is where I've been keeping all my electronics. Not looking forward to packing all this up, although most of them are out here now. And yeah, this has been this has been my life. Good times. Guess I'll miss it a little bit. Yeah, so that's fun, and we're back. So Brad says it actually sounds really nice. Stuck in a nice room, quiet, focus on some projects. Pretty much. It's not like I've got so many things to do, so many things I'm working on. So I had plenty to do here. Including editing that video that I played at the beginning of the stream, which I should play again because probably some of you haven't seen it yet, because it was the stream opening. It is a nice hotel room. I ended up booking the executive suite because the hotel or the event rate was cheaper than the main rate on the corporate booking tool. So, yeah, not bad. And oh yeah, I forgot to mention the. So I booked it on, obviously the company is paying for the trip, so I had the reservation out through Saturday. But then as soon as I notified the conference that I tested positive, then they were like, okay, well, you have to quarantine, but we'll pay for the room. I was like, oh, well, that makes it easy. I don't have to worry about justifying the expense report later. So yeah, that was super nice. I don't really understand exactly what the deal is that lets them do that. It seems very expensive. I was the 3rd reported out of 3. I don't know yet if there's more cases, so presumably there's 2 more people somewhere in the hotel room doing the same thing I am, and the event is paying for it, which is nice. And the I think if anybody here is from Austria, let me know, because I heard a rumor that the city has a program that reimburses for some amount of expenses related to quarantine. I don't know the details, and I couldn't find anything online because I don't know how to look for that. So, yeah. So this room is more than the threshold for that, but so I guess the event is paying for some of it. But I'm really curious about the details of how that works. So if anybody knows Austria's COVID quarantine policies and programs, let me know. Roland says, I always get a suite like that so I can have meetings and work easily with separation from the sleeping area. I know, it's really nice. I totally lucked out, like, did not expect, obviously, to be doing this, and definitely could have been worse. So it has been nice to like have the bedroom over there and then like get up in the morning. I've been like taking a shower, trying to pretend like it's a normal day, come over here to work, and then, you know, have a little bit of movement that way, and I'm not just stuck in one rectangle. Yeah, could have been a lot worse. Rick says, liking the room is like Stockholm Syndrome, but yes, it's Vienna Syndrome. That very well might be what's happening here. Yeah, testing was so easy and free compared to the US. Totally, it was very nice. Honestly, like, I can just, now that I can leave the room, I can just walk across the street and get a test result in 15 minutes, or do a PCR there, or I can get these brought up to the room, or go buy them, or not even buy them. They're free. These little boxes, they give you these little cards, and those come back in basically 12 hours. They say 24, but it's been taking 12. And it's all free. It's amazing. So I guess it works, because I found out sooner than I would have if it had cost me money to get tested, because I probably would have been like, it's only a little cough. It's probably fine. I don't want to spend $100 on a test to find out that it's just a cough. That's, you know, US logic. And thankfully, it was free and right there. And I was like, yeah, I'm just going to do it. And then I can stop spreading this. So that's cool. I had a smaller room I was staying for 2.5 weeks in the summer working on a TV reality show. Well, at least you got to like go out though, right? That's the problem, is that I've been literally in here since Wednesday. So, yeah. David says, I spent 2 months in a much smaller hotel room before the pandemic. You get used to it. Again, it is very different being stuck in here 24/7 compared to just staying in a hotel room. I really don't mind small hotel rooms when I'm traveling for work, or traveling at all, because really you just sort of come back here to sleep. Whatever, that's fine. But yeah, when you can't leave the room, like literally can't leave the room, they would not let me go out into the hotel hallway. I mean, it's not like there were like COVID police outside, but I was not allowed to go outside. So it's very different when you're spending literally all the time in a room. Roland says the very same COVID tests here in Asia are $3 US. $3 US is much more reasonable than the US's price for any COVID tests. So, yeah. In Germany, the quick test you can get out of the supermarket for €2, probably the same in Austria, so that's a chance to stock up before going back. I might actually do that. Yeah, that's a good idea. These ones are PCR tests, so you have to send them to a lab here, so obviously I can't bring those home. But yeah, I should try to stock up on some rapid ones. Harold says, good to hear you didn't get too ill. Enjoy your freedom from tomorrow onwards. Thank you. Thank you very much. And yes, at least I can work remotely. It's true. Everything I do anyway, I work from home anyway, so it's not like, I mean, the only difference is that I literally can't leave the room. I often don't leave my house for a couple days at a time, though, so that's why I've just been like, you know, I do this at home. It's fine. I just can't, like, go to the grocery store like I would at home. Okay. So, yeah, it's like $150 to $300 for a PCR in the U.S., which is the cost of the insurance, not free out of pocket if you have insurance, of course. The U.S. is just a mess for that. Okay, now let me go back and see if we have any other questions in the chats. Oh, Xander, thank you for the super chat. That was from earlier. That was, I think, after my explanation of the whole remote access to the studio thing. Thank you for that. Okay, a couple questions here we're gonna get to. Oh, more nice wishes. Thank you very much. Raul says, I wonder, what are your long-term plans for these streams? What's your motivation? I like trying things out, as you can probably tell by the fact that every time I do a stream, something changes. So I think that's a lot of it, is that's one of the reasons, is like, I just like to test out new ways of doing things. So it gives me an excuse to do that. And I also like talking about this stuff and helping others learn about it. So obviously the live stream format's not the most tutorial-like format, but it does give us a chance to do some faster Q&A than in the comment sections or in full edited videos. So that's one of the reasons. And obviously for the last 2 years, I've been doing mostly stuff at studio, which has been a good chance to set up interesting workflows at the studio and you know, learn all that whole side of things. But now that I have a bunch of trips planned, I'm doing more and more of them. I'm going to be traveling on more Sundays, probably, and also if I'm not traveling on Sunday, I'll probably find an excuse to do a midweek stream anyway because it's fun, and that lets me do tests with rigs like this. So we'll see how this evolves. We'll see what else I add to it next time I do a stream with this. It was supposed to look different. It looked right when I had this set up at the Inex 3D office in Bratislava, with the light on the side and the proper monitor mount so I can tilt the camera right. But then I left my Allen key there, so that's why it looks different today. But yeah, it's a fun chance to try stuff out. And also, I don't mind making mistakes on my own stream. And if I am running streams for work or for other people, I do mind making mistakes, and I would like to not, so it's good practice. And if I make a mistake here, then we just get to talk about it and figure out what happened and how to avoid it. If you had to pack up again for the trip, would you have packed the YoloBox with the Magewell or the A10 Mini Pro with a streaming bridge? Interesting. So the interesting question. If I had known I was going to be here for this long, would I have brought the A10 Mini versus the YoloBox? I still don't think so, because again, the A10 Mini requires so much more stuff. So like, I don't think I would be able to have this small of a rig. Also, notice how few cables there are. And that's one of the keys, is because like with an ATEM version of this rig, it would take a lot more cabling. And I'm pretty sure I would still stick to the YoloBox for this, especially now that I figured out the trick, which is get a real local SIM card, not try to use an eSIM and not hotel Wi-Fi. So, Farouk says, I came across this live broadcast by accident. Well, thanks for stopping by. Do you have an app called H2R Graphics? I say your name in the H2R test files. No, but I do know John, who makes the app. That's John Barker from Here to Record. He is the one that makes that app. It's a fantastic app. I do have it integrated into this for this. So when you see the little banner on the bottom that says, start your message with the keyword to ask a question, that is coming from H2R Graphics. And I can't remember if I have anything else wired up for that, at least not immediately accessible in these buttons. But I do use it for other shows often because it's a really fast way to make lower thirds and stuff. So I didn't know I was in the test files for it. That's funny. Speaking of, yeah, if you do have more questions, do start them with the letter Q so that it filters it properly. But what tripod do you use? This one is, I don't know how to say it, AOKA. That's the name of the brand. I think I put the link in the description. I'm pretty sure I did. It's a very small tripod. It's kind of hard to describe how small it is. The whole thing collapses down to this length. So it's like that. And maybe a tiny bit longer. I think it's plus the head. So it all folds up into that. Basically, these little, you can see the segments down here. those are the segments. It's not tall, although this is lower than it. This is not the maximum height of it, but this one goes up another one segment. But then it gets a little bit wobbly if that's too wide. So if this thing, it can get up to like that tall, but then it gets a little tippy with a big weight on top. With a small camera, it's fine. And then I don't have the legs extended all the way, so it gets a little bit taller. This goes up to about there. So it's nice. It works. This is probably more weight than is technically a good idea for it. You can see it's actually it's not bad. It's not too unstable with all that stuff on top. The streams are nice for debugging live. Those ones are my favorite. Yep. Maybe have the light higher to avoid the reflection in the glasses. If I'm looking at the YoloBox, there's no reflection. But if I tilt my head up too much, then yeah, you get the reflection. Like I said, normally what I do is I have the camera not attached. So like right now, it's attached just straight, right? There's no flex here. There we go. So you can see it's like one of these little bits attached into the cold shoe, attached to this handle, attached to the top. Normally, I have a small rig monitor mount that has a joint. That way I can tilt the camera forward, and that helps the angle. If I can tilt the camera forward separately from this part. I would have done that, but I left my Allen key. So I apparently need to have a place for that I don't forget to pack it up. Are you forgetting my rig? Yeah, I'm not going to fly with that rig. That was a monster. Is it complicated to set up a VPN with Raspberry Pi 400? What's your take on that? Where would I go to get help with it? Anything regarding VPNs and networking is complicated. I'm not going to lie. I've been using WireGuard, which is simpler than OpenVPN, but not easy. I wish it was easier. It's been working okay now that I've got it set up. The heavily dependent on the network I'm on the remote end though. One of the other ones that was a lot easier to set up, which I haven't really been using because my WireGuard is working fine, is Zero Tier. And Zero Tier was significantly easier to get going. I believe they have things pretty well packaged up for the Raspberry Pi 2. So that could be something to look at as well. I should probably drop that into the chat if I can find the link. They have tutorials and stuff, so yeah. But yeah, unfortunately, any amount of VPN stuff is going to require some networking knowledge, so there's just a learning curve, unfortunately. Have you tried connecting the ATEM or the Insidious YoloBox into a modern iPad with USB-C? Just wondering if the iPad would see any of their functionality. I'm not sure what you mean, if it would see any of the functionality. Oh, like as a webcam? I don't think the iPads take external webcams, so not really. Yeah. Did I miss talk about the intro video? No, you did not. I've gotten off track, and I was going to talk about it at the beginning, and I didn't. So let's talk about that. So, the intro video. I should just roll it right now because it was fun, and there's people here who were not here at the beginning. So, we are going to take a look at some of what I've been looking at around Vienna. Oh, wait, I forgot. There's music. It's important. Let's try that again. So that was fun. I had a lot of fun putting that together. So what went into that? That was actually a bunch of different cameras. I used 3 different cameras, or I guess plus my iPhone, to film everything that went into that. So I did bring my drone with me, the DJI Mini 2, but I can't fly a drone in Austria. The regulations are far too complicated, and insurance and stuff just not gonna happen. So can't fly a drone, but I can fly the Insta360 Go on the end of a selfie stick. So that was the what looked like the drone shots, or at least the the flying around and zooming around and stuff. So honestly, this camera is just a lot of fun. It is obviously not the best camera. It is definitely got its flaws. It's not fantastic in low light, but for doing stuff outside, it's just fun. You can do a lot of cool stuff that you wouldn't be able to do otherwise. So this was a big part of that. Basically, the whole second half of the video was from this camera. And that was a couple of different walks that I did. Some today, since I was allowed outside again today, but also from earlier in the week. And yeah, one of the things I like about this is that it's got the tripod screw on the bottom, and then this is the selfie stick. So they just connect like that, and then it goes like way out, and then you can look ridiculous holding this out, like behind you or in front of you or off to the side or whatever. They have a lot of tips in their app for like ideas for how to do interesting shots. Some of them are like you hold it out in front and then it's just looking back at you and you get like a stop motion effect. One of the ones I was doing was just like sort of sweeping it along the ground, just kind of like a metal detector. And then like doing slow sweeps up and then back down and like going close to objects, or like, and then they just have a mode where it's like, it just makes it fast and does the wild spins and stuff. And it did a lot of that editing, and then I took its video that it made and then like chopped it up and cut it down further, and then made sure that it cut on the beat, or like synced better to the music. So that was one of them. The DJI Action 2 is another one of the cameras that I was using. I usually just use it like this with its one little bit. And the reason I like this, again, not great in low light, but for outdoor shots, it's useful. One of the reasons I like it is because it's so easy to just put in a pocket, and then just quickly you just hold the button and it starts recording immediately. So it's actually faster than using my phone, and it also does really good stabilization, and like it can do horizontal stabilization as well. So you can just be like turning it, and it will be like, oh, we're just going to hold the picture straight. So you really don't have to think about it at all, and you can just quickly get some panning shots or running shots or whatever. So that was a couple of the shots. My iPhone was a couple, because sometimes I was out and I didn't have any of the other cameras, and then the other one that I use is the DJI Pocket 2. Used to be called Osmo Pocket. The Pocket 2 has a couple of really good upgrades as well, and one of again, it has the tripod screw on the bottom of this little extension. This is a separate piece, but it comes in their creator kit now. So with the tripod screw on the bottom, again, I can attach it to the selfie stick, the Insta360 selfie stick, and now I've got a gimbal on a very long rod, and that's fun for like getting up above crowds and stuff, because you can really get much higher shots that way. And it's a gimbal; it's a real gimbal, so it looks good. And then the other thing that I really like about this camera is the panning time lapse. So it has a special panning time lapse mode where, here, I can just show you how to configure it, because it's kind of cool. I think it's already on that mode. Yeah. So you can see the screen is in the special panning time-lapse mode. And what you do is you position the camera where you want it to start, and then you tap the plus. Can I do it in reverse? Yes. Then you tell it where you want it to end, and then you tap it again, you tell it how long you want to run for, and then you press record, and it just starts going. And it does, you probably can't even see it move, but it does very small movements, and it will slowly pan and do a time lapse and stitch it all together. It's amazing. It doesn't like being moved around when it's in the middle of a time lapse. That was the end shot, the sunset shot out the hotel window, because I was stuck here and I got a couple of days in a row to get that shot right. And the other one I did, which I didn't put in that video because it's much less interesting, was a video of me stuck in here walking around the room. Let me roll that one really quick. This is just me in quarantine, working on the computer, taking a phone call, working on the computer. Yep, that's it. That was my life for the last 5 days. But yeah, you can see now that slow pan, that's the Pocket 2, which is pretty fun. Looking forward to next week's intro video. We'll see. Probably not. Maybe if I'm not totally stressed out by how awful it was to last minute book a plane ticket and get back home, maybe I will shoot some footage of getting home. But no promises on that, because I will probably, by the time I actually get a ticket and get on a plane, I'll probably just want to be home. So we'll see. Yep. Oh, for the DJI Pocket 2, I have a selfie stick that is a USB battery bank. Oh, that's a cool idea. That would be also useful. Although so I ran a time lapse. I think it was 2 hours. That's how long the battery lasted in the time lapse mode. I was wandering around Vienna with it as well, recording stuff. I think it was around 2 hours is what it lasted. But it's USB-C, so I can also run it off of a battery bank to get longer shots if I want. The DJI Action 2 are brilliant. If you get the magnesium small rig case, it even dissipates 40% more heat and lasts much longer. Oh, that's a good idea. I tried out their little white sleeve thing. I was not impressed with it, and I returned it. But maybe I should check out the magnesium one. I don't know if I've actually had it overheat because I use it for such short bursts. So if I was doing longer stuff with it, then I might care about that more. Eric says the Insta360 is worth every penny just for that one edited down video. I know, it's just so much fun. It really is. It's just fun. Shout out to the Mini 2. Yeah, the Mini 2, I wish I could fly here, but that's just not happening. But I did enjoy flying it in Bratislava. Got a real chance to fly it some actual distance, which was nice, because I can't even do a lot of that in Portland in the city. So that was a lot of fun. I will not roll that video on the stream because it was already on the last 2 streams. So if you are curious about that video, you can go watch it. Also, I put it on my Instagram. So, oh, I think I have a little overlay for my Instagram. Where is it? Yeah, here's my Instagram. There we go. So, I'll probably post the Vienna video to my Instagram also, so you can see it there. Oh, the Insta360 One RS is out. I was seeing people post YouTube videos about that. I can't figure out what's different about it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like the form factor of that one, but I do like this one, so I'm happy enough with this form factor. Good question. Did you move your sleep schedule already closer to home? I guess working in a different time zone meant you would need to be awake at unusual times anyway. No, but I probably should start doing that now, just to give myself an easier time on the way back. One of the problems, though, is that the flight just throws all that to the wind anyway. So the way that the flights work going from here back to Portland, because I have to do basically 3 hops. I have to go from here to a hub like Heathrow or Madrid, and then they usually don't have directs to Portland, so I have to go to something like LAX, SFO, or Dallas, and then to Portland. So it's 3 flights, which takes up most of the day, and basically what it means is I get on the plane at like I start leaving here at like 7 a.m. and I get back to Portland in the late afternoon or evening. I had a really bad itinerary originally scheduled. It was going to get me back at 11 p.m., which is like already a long day if you weren't changing time zones. So think about 7 a.m. to 11 p.m., but then plus 9 hours. So, yeah, 9 extra hours on top of that. That basically means that my trick for that is, because I wake up here on local time, I just try to stay awake the whole day. Maybe take a couple hour nap in the middle, and if I can stay awake until evening by the time I get home, then I just crash, and I sleep through the night, and I'm fine again. So that's my jet lag trick. Sven says, Madrid, don't fly with Iberia. That's a knee-crushing experience. Good tip. I was seeing a bunch of those pop up on my searches, and I've never flown with them before, but yeah. The inter-European flights are a disgrace regarding the seat spacing. I was on a decent flight from Heathrow to here. It was, I think it was a regular 737. I think that's what it was. And it was totally normal, fine spacing. That was American Airlines, no, British Airways via American Airlines. Also, oh my gosh, don't even get me started on the chaos that was my itinerary on the way here. It was booked through the work travel agency, which I have to do, British Airways ticket, or British Airways marketed flight, but it was American Airlines for the Seattle to Heathrow, and then Heathrow to Vienna, or Seattle to Heathrow was American Airlines, but Portland to Seattle was Alaska Airlines. So it was on 3 different airlines, but it was all marketed under British Airways, and basically nobody could make changes. Nobody could do anything to the ticket, because they were all like, oh no, it's not our ticket, it's somebody else's. And yeah, it was a disaster. I cannot believe I even made it here. So I'm going to try to avoid that. I really would like to get an actual British Airways plane on the way back, like a British Airways real plane, not American Airlines via British Airways. I'm going to see if I can find a British Airways flight on the way back. Because I don't have any particular day I need to get back, I can just look for a good flight. But yeah, I also don't know when I can fly back either yet, so that's a whole different story. Yes, it was a code share nightmare. It is very true. I literally called. All I was trying to do was get on an earlier Alaska to Portland to Seattle, because they run so many of those planes, and I only had an hour in Seattle to get on the British Airways flight or the American Airlines flight to London, and I was like, an hour in Seattle is not enough because I don't have that. Like, I'm going to have to do some sort of passport check or whatever there. So I was trying to get on an earlier flight, but Alaska couldn't move it because it wasn't their ticket. They had sold it to American. American couldn't change it because it was under British Airways. British Airways couldn't change it because it was sold under the travel agency. And I called the travel agency, and they couldn't move it earlier because American hadn't sold any earlier flights, or Alaska hadn't sold any earlier flights to American. So when the travel agency went to go price it, they were pricing it as a trip from Seattle to Vienna and a totally separate ticket from Portland to Seattle, and then it was like $6,000. And I was like, I'm not willing to make work pay $6,000 for that ticket to change to a 2-hour earlier flight, which I can get on standby. And then somehow some Alaska agent worked some magic that they didn't think was going to be possible, and it did work. And I got on an earlier flight. So I had to do that 24 hours before the flight, though, so that was a little bit nerve-wracking. But then it unlocks something, and they have more control. Anyway, getting really off topic. Yes. So, well, the good news is I think I got through all the topics I wanted to. We've been streaming for 90 minutes, and the YoloBox has held up flawlessly. So that's fantastic. I have no idea how much data I've run through on this sim. I think I got a 30 or 40 gig plan on this sim, so probably nowhere near used it up. And, but yeah, that's good. It's held steady for 90 minutes. That much better than last week. Okay, yeah, we're going to wrap this up. So, thank you all for joining. Thank you for coming every week. We are back on the normal schedule thanks to daylight savings time in Europe having just switched. If you're in Australia, then good luck. Who knows what time it is over there, because they're changing later and the other direction. So if you sign up for my email, though, the email always has the correct local times because I wrote code to actually do that. So it'll always say the right local times for you in that email. But yes, we'll be back next week. Fingers crossed from Portland. I just have to get a negative COVID test tomorrow, which I'm hoping will come back negative tomorrow. And if it does, then I'm probably going to just book a flight for like Wednesday because I don't want to, yeah, it's complicated. We'll see what happens. I don't know. It'll be an adventure. And then maybe I will be able to talk about it again on Sunday. So thank you for the super chats. Thank you for joining the streams every week. And the super chats, by the way, that helps me do experiments like buying a bunch of SIM cards to see what works best. So thanks for that. I appreciate it. Good to see everybody here in the chat as always. And I will see you all here again, same time if you're in the US and Europe. And I'm going to leave you with me doing loops around my hotel room. So